We have a new solo champion in EU. Scroll managed to win the solo series yesterday. I want to review the whole tournament for you in this video, talking about who did well, who struggled. We've also got the Reload Cup and the Eval Cup to talk about, as well as some other news, including Queasy and Vanya having an argument on Twitter. I'll explain all the reasons for that. Let's get straight into it. Honestly, we've just had a great weekend of competitive Fortnite, 12 games of the solo series finals. This tournament is just so good. We previously had 4 rounds of qualifiers and heats. I feel like we need to have this every single season because it is so important to have regular stacked solo events to give the good solo players a chance to prove themselves and show how good they are. And one player that definitely showed how good he was Scroll by winning the whole tournament. He was incredible throughout this whole thing. He was 5th after day 1, but honestly it did feel like he was one of the favourites to go on and win it, and he performed excellently on day 2, managing to win 2 games on the day, opening up a huge lead with 3 games left. He did keep it interesting though by coming 58th and 97th in games 10 and 11 to make it so that there was a chance he could lose in game 12, but he came 8th in that final game to secure the victory. Very, very impressive stuff from him. I predicted Scroll 7th. I thought he'd do really well. I'll go through the rest of my predictions in a minute because some of them were quite good and some of them not so much. But I didn't think Scroll had it in him to win, so big credit to him. His strategy of splitting the north side of Battlewood Boulevard with his compatriots Sky and Refsguard really worked out for him. Out of all 100 players, he had the most damage across the 12 games. Yes, he did have some favourable zones, but don't let that take away from the win. It was a great performance, fully deserved. Congratulations to him. I know his teammate Sky didn't do as well, but this is a duo that we really need to watch out for in 2026. These guys are going to be contenders to win an FNCS. I genuinely think they are going to be so good. But once again, massive performance from Scroll. He is someone that works so hard at the game. I constantly see him playing NA Central tournaments, even on NA West too. He puts in the hours and it clearly has paid off because that is an excellent performance from him. In second place, we had another Danish player, Pablo Wingu. He's someone who I didn't even put in my top 10. I feel like I very much underrated that whole sandy strip area, which was of course controlled mainly by Danish players. Pablo did great. He was in the conversation to win the tournament right up until the last game, but he got bested by his compatriot Scroll. It is also worth noting that on day 1 he died to an absolutely ridiculous bug. Have a look at this clip. So who knows, if he could have played that game out, maybe the leaderboard would look a bit different. In third place we had Flixie, again another player that I didn't put in my top 10. I didn't see him in many other people's predictions either. He is someone who we obviously know is a very good solo player. I just felt like his drop situation didn't really lend itself to a high finish, but no, he proved that he is still capable of a high finish, so fair play to him. In fourth place we had Vico. He put in a great performance. He actually had a really great drop spot, being able to access the balloon, a lot of loot, quite a lot of metal too. Not quite able to challenge for the win going into the final game, but 4th is still pretty solid. In 5th place we had Hari, who was actually my prediction to win. He did pretty well. Unfortunately day 2 was not as good as day 1. He only finished 21st overall on the second day. Had he had a couple of better performances, then perhaps he could have challenged for the win, but 5th place is still pretty solid. In 6th place we had Twy. This is a really interesting one because he was in 55th place after day 1 and then managed to win on day 2 to secure the 6th place finish, proving that you are never truly out of it when it comes to 2-day formats. So big credit to him for having the mentality to come back like that. He was really good on day 2. He is someone who we already know is a good solo player, and with a performance like this he's proving that even further, so fair play to him. We've got another UK player in 7th, King Cringe, having an excellent performance. He was actually in 1st place after day 1. He used a fishing strategy to catch mythic pistols, carrying floppers as well. It was working out really well for him. Unfortunately on day 2 he just couldn't replicate it. 52nd on that day just didn't work out for him, but 7th place is still a really impressive performance. If you follow competitive Fortnite, if you look at the leaderboards, you'll know that King Cringe is someone who has really figured out how to play solos. His fundamentals are so great. We saw that on day 1. It's a shame he just couldn't carry it through, but still a very solid performance. In 8th place we've got another Danish player, which is Dexy, someone who featured in a lot of people's predictions. He has a really good understanding of the game. There's a reason why he has his own masterclass that you can buy. He has a really good understanding of how to play Fortnite, and this was evidenced by his performance. He did very well, and 8th is a very solid placement. In 9th we had Truly, the Swedish pro, someone who I definitely did not have on my radar to do well. Very underrated player. Credit to him for a big performance. And in 10th place we had Giras. He split Treetop Terrace with his teammate Sined. I actually did predict Sined to come 10th. Unfortunately, I clearly picked the wrong teammate because Giras was the one that had the great tournament, proving that he isn't just a hard IGL, proving that he is capable of performing by himself. Fair play to him. Before I review my predictions and talk about which players underperformed, let's talk about some other players that did do well. We had Moneymaker finishing in 11th place, proving that he isn't just some brain rot content creator. He is actually a really good pro, and he is especially good at solos. I mentioned this in my preview video. I couldn't quite fit him into my top 10, but I knew he was capable of finishing in it. 11th place, narrowly missing out, but a great tournament from him in all honesty. In 15th place we had someone that had a very up and down tournament, and that was of course Chap. He had a pretty bad day one. He was contested by Pink at Sus Studios and he lost 4-1, also dying to Vico out of the Air 1 game. It really didn't go well for him, but the one game that he won off spawn he actually managed to win, so credit to him for making that game count. On day 2 it was a completely different story. He won 5-0 against Pink, splitting in the first game and then winning every single off spawn after that. So clearly Chap has ability, and he did look great at times during the tournament. It was just a little bit all over the place. 15th seems fair. He actually did have the most eliminations despite the fact he died off spawn in so many games. Credit to him. You have to wonder where he would have finished had he been uncontested. We all know how good of a player he is, but 15th, I think that's pretty fair. In 19th place we had Gonzo, a really good up and coming Norwegian player. He was landing at the mountain north of Wonkyland, and he had a lot of success building a big base on that mountain, sitting in storm, avoiding taking damage, and then playing out his game after that. He was actually nerfed by the wingsuit jetpack exploit getting fixed. Previously he would have been able to shoot himself all the way into the sky and make huge rotates from the mountains. With this being taken away, the drop spot was nerfed a bit, but that didn't affect him at all. This led him to finishing 3rd after day 1, despite the fact he was actually contested by Toos. Unfortunately, day 2 did not go as well. As I've just said, he was contested, so it was hard for him to keep up that kind of consistency. But despite dropping off on the 2nd day, it was a really impressive event from him. He's certainly a name that we will be seeing more of in future solo tournaments. Now it's time to review my predictions. It was a bit of a mixed bag. I did get a couple of them close to being right, but honestly most of them were way off. I had Hari to finish in 1st. He obviously came in 5th. Not too much of a miss there. With Cammy, I predicted him to come 2nd. He was a lot of people's favourite to win. He just couldn't quite put it together in the tournament. Too many inconsistent games, and he ended up finishing in 22nd. Definitely a disappointing performance for him. Unlike the previous solo series where he had a really flawless, foolproof strategy where he would sit on top of the bridge in Shining Span in the storm in order to avoid taking damage, so he would always be ahead of the new Surge. It did feel like in this tournament he was getting caught below Surge quite a lot more than you would characteristically expect for a player of Cammy's quality. Just wasn't his weekend, but that happens. We've seen how good he is in solos, and I'm sure he'll be back for the next one. In 3rd place, someone who is also highly rated to do well, Shark. I had him to come 3rd. Again, he was a lot of people's favourites to win. Just couldn't quite put it together. It felt like he slept walk through the tournament a little bit. I know that sounds quite harsh, but it just didn't feel like he woke up to his off-spawn situation until it really mattered. He was contested by a couple of people at Wonky Land. Obviously his compatriot Turtle, who was fighting him in a couple of games. Indeed, he did kill him one of the games. It just felt like Shark couldn't make it count. He couldn't get off spawn up until game 9, where he finally started W-keying Higgs, who is obviously an NA player on the high ping. The fact that it took him that long to make that decision to kill him was insane, if I'm honest. After that, Shark did really well in games 10 and 11th, managing a 1st and 2nd to mount a little bit of a comeback, but ultimately he only finished in 28th. I do feel like had he been a little bit more proactive off spawn earlier in the tournament, then maybe he could have finished higher. Just wasn't his weekend. In the previous solo series, it has to be said that Shark had a much more comfortable drop spot situation, splitting Supernova Academy with his teammate and the eventual winner of the cup, Teeny. This time he was contested by multiple people. It wasn't quite as comfortable. He was actually quite vulnerable in that situation. At the end of the day, with set lobby finals, you do often need a lot of experience to overcome these kind of situations. I would still argue that his drop spot was solid for this tournament. Yes, he was contested by a few players, but ultimately he's Shark. He's one of the best fighters in EU. You have to be overcoming that more often than not, and he just wasn't quite able to do that on the day. I predicted Sky and Dharm to come 4th and 5th. They both had pretty poor tournaments, considering the fact that they were uncontested, splitting drops with their compatriots. Definitely expected a lot more from them. I put Vico to come in 6th. He did better than that, coming in 4th. Obviously I put Scroll to come 7th and he ended up winning. With Pixie, it was definitely an underperformance. I will say that his drop spot situation wasn't great, landing on very little loot, having to share the gas station with Minori. It just didn't go well for him at all. I didn't think it would be that bad. 63rd, really not a great placement. But listen, we know Pixie's great at solos. He got 4th in the Eraserland, 16th in the previous solo series, which isn't a horrendous placement. So we know he's got quality, just couldn't quite show it this weekend. Malabuka, I predicted to come 9th. He only ended up managing 27th. A bit of a disappointing performance from him. And Sined, I predicted him to come 10th. Unfortunately, I picked the wrong teammate. Obviously, it was Giras that ended up finishing in 10th. Sined only managing 41st. Another name that didn't quite have the weekend you would have wanted was Karama, who is obviously one of the top solo players on EU. He was actually ill before this tournament, which does kind of explain why he didn't do too well. He didn't have a particularly great drop spot situation either. Just not quite able to make the games count, and 47th was where he finished. So was it a good tournament? In my opinion, yes it was. Stacked set lobby finals will always be fun to watch. It's always great to see the best players on the region in the same lobby, and yes, I do hope we have one of these every season for the foreseeable future. There were some issues. Generally, I do really like the current meta with the wingsuits, with crash pads. We did see a lot of players dying out of the sky due to elevation changes in the map, which wasn't ideal. A lot of big names also struggled with the new Storm Surge. You had Cami, Vanya, loads of other players consistently below it. I actually like the new Surge. Maybe I'm in the minority for that, but I think it's really good. It's way better than Surge trading, that's for sure. Yes, this new Surge isn't perfect, but if you're comparing between the two, then this is the one I want to keep. I'm sure there'll be changes made to it to optimize it, and I look forward to those, but I'm not as big a hater of it as most people are. In my opinion, this new Surge will raise the skill gap. It is way more impressive to lead your team to a win in an FNCS with this new Surge than it was in the trading meta. So I definitely think we need to give more credit to the players that do well in these FNCSs as compared to the ones last year. Credit to all the players that adapted to the new Surge and performed well in this tournament. Let's run over how European pros did on the other regions. Middle East is a little bit of a weird one because it does seem like we had an EU winner. I can't be 100% sure of that because Prism ended up coming in 5th place. According to Bota though, who knows a lot about Middle East competitive, the 4 players above him are all cheating, so technically Prism won. Whether he actually gets upgraded to 1st, whether he actually gets the prize money for 1st, we'll have to wait and see, but it does seem like he's the spiritual winner of the tournament, so big credit to him. We had a bunch of EU pros do well on Middle East too. Rax coming in 16th, I suppose that's technically 12th if you take out the alleged cheaters, big credit to him. We actually had a bunch of EU pros fly out to Bahrain to be on 0 ping for the tournament. I do wonder if we'll see that happening more and more for future solo series. Over on NA Central, we had 3 EU pros manage to get inside the top 30. They were Cade in 24th, Zynox in 25th. Zynox actually managed to win game 8, so credit to him, and Scroll in 29th. Scroll obviously winning on EU and putting in a great performance on NA Central too. Really was an excellent weekend for him. And over on NA West, big shout out to Malabuka. He finished 6th after day 1, managing to finish 11th overall. I do believe that once some alleged cheaters are banned, he might be in 9th place inside the top 10. That is a huge performance on seriously high ping, credit to him. Now yesterday we also had a Reload Victory Cup that ran before the solo series finals. Game 1 of that was won by Skyjump and Dew. Game 2 by Cheatin and Yanis, who were really great in this tournament, also managing a 2nd and a 3rd, great consistency from them. And Game 3 was won by the brothers Eclipse and Twy. Shark and Teeny managed a 2nd and a 3rd but were unable to get the win. Over on NA Central, 2 out of the 3 teams that won were from EU. Calix and Higgs did manage to win the first game, but then Seti and Nebs won Game 2. These are 2 players that obviously weren't partaking in the solo series as they didn't qualify. They also came 2nd in Game 1, a great tournament from them. Game 3 was won by Akira and Podesai, again 2 players that didn't make solo series finals, but once again EU pros are performing well on NA Central. Before I get into why Queasy and Vanya were arguing on Twitter, I'm going to talk about Thursday's Performance Evaluation Cup. Game 1 of that was won by King Cringe and Velo, a team that are obviously very good, up and coming, constantly winning in these kind of Victory Cup formats. King Cringe I've already mentioned for doing well in the solo series. These guys are great. Kami and Hari also managed to win. They also got 2 second places. Incredible consistency shown in this tournament. Hari had the top damage too. Very, very good stuff from them. Tayson and Wox winning a game. Both of these guys didn't do great in the solo series. I mean, Tayson didn't even make finals. Wox only finishing in 85th place. But they did manage a win. We know they're going to be sticking for the whole of 2026. I'm interested to see how they develop as a duo and how they do in the upcoming divisional cups. Game 4 was won by Malabuka and Focus. This duo came about because both Vico and Thomas HD seemingly slept in. So we ended up seeing a really interesting duo of Malabuka and Focus. One that, I mean, if they both didn't have great options, this could easily work out. But yeah, it was interesting to see them play. Credit to them for getting the win. On NA Central, we didn't have any EU teams win a game. The closest we came was King Cringe and Twy, who managed the 2nd place, also getting an average placement of 5th across 4 games on NA Central. I mean, that's hugely impressive stuff. Fair play to them. Now let's get into why Queasy and Vanya had a bit of a disagreement on Twitter. It all started from Queasy suggesting that Vanya isn't a good off-spawn player and that Peterbot should have landed on them at OXR base at Globals instead of landing at triple contested Utopia City or any of the other strategies that they carried out. This does make sense. I do feel like Vanya's team isn't as bad off spawn as everyone says, but I mean, they're clearly not the best off spawn team in the EU. I think everyone can agree on that. It then got interesting. Vanya questioning Queasy's ability as an IGL, saying that he makes a lot of excuses, saying that he did kind of underperform in some of the grand finals we had last year, which I do think is quite valid. Overall though, this isn't a serious argument. This is 2 top pros that clearly do have a lot of respect for each other, just having a small disagreement. So there's nothing major to make out of this. And honestly, I think there's valid arguments on both sides. I don't think Vanya is the best spawn fighter in the world. I don't think Queasy was the best IGL in some of the grand finals we had last year, but they're both great players. They both achieved a lot last year, so I'm sure there isn't too much bad feeling between the 2 of them. There are rumours that they might be setting up a 1v1, but I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen. Will be interesting to see if it does, but yeah, that's the reason for the argument. In terms of organisation news, we had Prism join XP42 and Orphe made some signings, bringing in Artist, Kolb, Droxys and Fanayan into their roster. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please do. I make these kind of news videos every couple of days to keep you guys up to date on everything that happens in EU. If you want to support me any further, then using code SPUDSON in the Fortnite item shop is a great way to do that. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you in the next one.